The whole gym.
Like
70 kids
robbed
without a gun. Like, yo, everybody give me your codes. Some of the guys I robbed had to help me carry this stuff.
Welcome to the Gossip Channel. Thank you for joining us on this journey. We're growing with you and because of you. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell to help us reach 10,000 subscribers. Once we hit that milestone, a special prize will be waiting for you. Stay tuned. And now, let's get into the topic. Mumble rap crashed into hip-hop like a wild storm, shaking everything up. But let's be real, just because some of these tracks come with hard-hitting beats doesn't automatically make them real rap. Many folks call it lazy, saying it waters down the culture that was built on skill, lyricism, and raw storytelling. And you already know the OGs don't bite their tongue when it comes to this. They're calling it out loud, especially when artists like Rich the Kid start talking reckless, claiming the OGs are somehow intimidated by them. That's when you know something's way off. Legends like Snoop Dogg himself have weighed in. And plenty of other legends have spoken up too. And honestly, for good reason. When the pioneers of hip-hop watch a new wave rising, they expect raw talent, bars, and real effort. If you're not bringing that heat, best believe they'll call you out without hesitation. Starting with Snoop Dogg. He's never held back when it comes to blasting the repetitive and shallow vibes behind mumble rap. So when Snoop linked up with Kevin Hart to react to some of 2021's wildest viral TikTok clips, you already knew fireworks were coming. One of the videos showed the Island Boys, those twin brothers splashing around in a pool trying to sing. And let's just say both Snoop and Hart couldn't even hide their embarrassment. They were already cracking jokes the second that clip ended, clowning without holding back. But the Island Boys, especially Fly, didn't find it funny at all. Fly caught wind of Snoop and Kevin roasting him and he snapped, aiming most of his heat straight at Snoop. He even started threatening, saying, "If he were to say that to me in real life on sight, I would fade. I'd beat him, I swear, on everything in my life." Fly doubled down too, swearing that if he ever saw Snoop, it was on sight. Bold talk, but Snoop, being the seasoned vet and unbothered king he is, didn't flinch for a second. Instead of clapping back with anger, Snoop handled it like a pro, turning the whole thing into a joke. He hit Instagram with a playful jab, writing, "I don't want no smoke with," making it crystal clear he wasn't about to waste energy taking the Island Boys seriously. Fans jumped in right away, reminding Fly and his brother that trying to step to Snoop Dogg was a losing battle from the start. And sure enough, the message landed. Fly eventually folded and dropped an apology, backing all the way down from his tough talk. And then you've got Eminem, the one rapper who never sugarcoats how he feels about mumble rap. Saying M isn't a fan is an understatement. He straight up can't stand it. He made that loud and clear on his Kamikaze album, where he went on a full-blown lyrical rampage, tearing into mumble rappers left and right, from firing shots at Lil Yachty, to mocking by interpolating Migos' hit Bad and Bojay, to even flipping Lil Pump's whole Gucci Gang flow just to prove how ridiculous he thought it sounded. M came for everyone, leaving no doubt where he stood. Of course, the younger rappers weren't about to just sit back quietly. Lil Pump in particular jumped online, talking big and claiming nobody listens to Eminem anymore. But that line didn't sit right with anybody, especially when the numbers told a whole different story. Eminem's fan base is massive, and when people started comparing streams, it was obvious Pump was way out of his league. And M, never the type to let trash talk slide, clapped back in his signature slick style, quoting his own Book of Rhymes lyrics on Twitter to shut it all down. What made the whole thing even funnier is that by early 2021, Lil Pump suddenly caught selective amnesia about the beef. When people brought it up, he straight up acted like he didn't even remember what went down. But if we're talking about rap beefs with so-called mumble rappers, nothing tops the chaos with MGK, Machine Gun Kelly. It all sparked when MGK fired off a tweet calling Eminem's daughter, Haley, hot. And if you know anything about Eminem, you already know his daughter is completely off limits. That tweet hit the wrong nerve, and even though MGK tried to brush it off, Marshall wasn't about to let it slide. Fast forward to MGK's track No Reason, where he slipped in a sly jab at Eminem's rap god. That little shot was all it took for M to come back swinging, and he didn't just respond, he unleashed a scathing diss that torched MGK over the Haley tweet and way more. But to MGK's credit, he didn't fold. He dropped Rap Devil, a bold clapback that had everyone shocked he even dared to go after one of the greatest to ever touch a mic. On the track, MGK accused M of being washed up, called his last 4 albums trash, and even threw in a low blow about hooking up with Kim, M's ex-wife. MGK might have been in the studio yelling into the mic, but you already knew Eminem wasn't about to let that ride. He clapped back with Kill Shot, a brutal diss track that ripped MGK apart, mocking his career and tearing down his arguments line by line. By the end, there was zero doubt about who owned that battle. Later, M broke it all down in an interview, explaining his side of the story and making it crystal clear he had zero regrets about how it all went down. MGK, meanwhile, switched lanes and pivoted into rock music not long after. And then you've got the mumble rappers who go out of their way to disrespect the legends that paved the way. Take Lil Xan, for example, the guy behind the hit Betrayed. He sparked a massive storm when he had the audacity to call Tupac's music boring during an interview. If that wasn't wild enough, he went further and rated Pac a 2 out of 10 on what he called his so-called clout meter. For anyone who doesn't know, clout is basically how much influence or cool factor somebody has. And obviously, that didn't sit right with anyone who respects hip-hop history. Twitter exploded, with fans from every generation dragging him non-stop. One tweet summed it up perfectly. Nobody should have been shocked by Lil Xan disrespecting Tupac. Fans say the culture let these new wave rappers get way too comfortable to the point where they feel bold enough to say anything. One user went in writing, "This coming from a rapper named after a drug. Tupac was a poet with university classes studying his boring raps, something you'll never know or understand." That pretty much exposed how badly Xan messed up. He did try to make amends later by performing Tupac's classic California Love at one of his shows, but by then the damage was already sealed. Fans weren't buying it, and the backlash just kept piling on. Things even escalated when Xan almost landed in a shootout in downtown LA. He and his girlfriend, Annie Smith, were at a gas station when someone recognized him and brought up those infamous Tupac comments. Xan kept quiet in the moment, but later he jumped on Instagram admitting he actually pulled a gun to protect himself. He claimed, "The media's gonna twist what just happened at that gas station. I was about to be attacked and had to defend myself." Then he lashed out saying, "Forget all you old heads still talking about that Tupac stuff. Live your own life and stop picking on a kid." But just a week later, in an interview, Xan started backpedaling, suddenly claiming, "I never dissed Tupac. They edited the clip to make it look like I hate all old school hip hop. The flip-flop only made him look worse." But by that point, it was already too late. Xan had locked himself in as one of the most disrespectful newcomers the game had ever seen. And then came XXXTentacion, who never shied away from controversy either. In a heated January 2018 sit-down with DJ Academics, Pac's name came up and X instantly got irritated. "I'm better than Tupac, bro," he said. "Please don't compare me to him. Please don't." As you can imagine, fans and critics were not having it at all. One fan even hopped on Twitter roasting him, writing, "X does this, X says that, X takes a dump at McDonald's. Give it up already. Nobody cares about this weak woman beater or his trash opinions," one fan snapped online, tearing into X after his Tupac comments. Another broke it down with more context, saying, "I get that music evolves, but what this kid doesn't understand is Tupac was speaking to a whole generation at a whole different time. No rapper today can compare unless they were actually there in 1996, living through what was happening back then." Fans argued these new rappers just dropped wild statements for attention. Another person didn't hold back either, flat out calling X the most overrated rapper today. And then there's Lil Yachty, who's been pretty open about not caring for old school hip hop. And he's never been shy about saying so. Yachty sparked a huge uproar in the hip-hop community with his dismissive attitude toward rap legends. Yachty went on record saying he thinks Biggie is overrated, which in the world of hip-hop is basically blasphemy. And if that wasn't enough, he openly admitted he wasn't even familiar with either Tupac or Biggie's catalogs. He couldn't name 5 songs from either legend. His excuse? He claimed he was busy doing other things and didn't see learning hip-hop history as a priority. Then he doubled down, saying, "If I do it my way and make all this money, why should I follow the way everyone else says it should be done?" That attitude set the culture off. He said it while shrugging off the criticism, but when it comes to flat-out disrespect, Kodak Black might just take the crown. He's thrown shade at both Tupac and Biggie in ways that made it crystal clear he doesn't care about protecting their legacies. At first, Kodak made a few offhand comments, but then he doubled down during an Instagram Live where he boldly claimed he was better than Tupac and Biggie. He even went as far as saying the only reason they're considered legends is because they're no longer alive. As expected, those words didn't sit right with anybody who respects the culture. And Kodak being Kodak, his drama didn't stop there. He also came for Lil Wayne, calling him washed up and irrelevant. Wayne himself might have chosen to stay quiet, but his daughter Regina Carter wasn't about to let that slide. She clapped back hard, saying Kodak's new album sounded like it was trying to copy her father's old style. And speaking of messy drama, let's get into Ola Runt, who ended up clashing with none other than Gucci Mane. Now, Gucci is famous for his no-nonsense attitude, never hesitating to check people when they step out of line. Back in 2019, Gucci saw potential in Ola, a young Atlanta rapper, and decided to sign him. Gucci even jumped on a few of his tracks to help boost his career. But things quickly went left during a wild Instagram live session. The two were chopping it up when Gucci casually mentioned he might finish a song they'd been working on later that night. Instead of keeping it cool, Ola flipped the vibe, talking wild and pressing Gucci about finishing the track. But Gucci, being Gucci, wasn't about to let that kind of disrespect slide, especially on a live stream. He checked Ola right then and there, making it clear that attitude wouldn't fly. You'd think Ola would have taken the warning and chilled out. But nope, he kept the same energy. Gucci finally had enough and dropped him from the label altogether. Since then, Ola's career hasn't gone anywhere, and it's obvious going head-to-head with Gucci Mane was a huge mistake. This definitely wasn't the first time Gucci had to check somebody. There was another moment at a radio station meet and greet where Gucci was chilling, signing autographs, and snapping pics with fans. Out of nowhere, some guy stormed in and started freestyling loud, clearly trying to grab Gucci's attention. But the timing? Terrible doesn't even begin to describe it. Gucci wasn't in the mood for that nonsense. He cut him off quick, telling him straight up that nobody wanted to hear his raps. The guy looked crushed on the spot, and honestly, it turned into a hard lesson in learning how to read the room. But Gucci doesn't just check up-and-comers. He's gone toe-to-toe with rap legends, too. Back in 2005, he got caught up in one of the most infamous beefs in hip-hop history with Jeezy. Things escalated fast when Jeezy dropped a track and put a $10,000 bounty on Gucci's infamous ice cream cone chain. That bounty led to pure chaos when 5 men pulled up at Gucci's spot trying to snatch the chain. It got physical quick, and Gucci ended up fighting them off. In the heat of the moment, he pulled his gun and fired, hitting one of the attackers, Pookie Lock. Just days later, Pookie Lock's body was discovered behind a middle school, cementing the beef as one of the darkest chapters in rap history. Gucci ended up turning himself in and claimed it was all self-defense, and the courts agreed, letting him walk free on those grounds. But Gucci being Gucci, he didn't let the story end there. He came right back with a diss track aimed at both Jeezy and Pookie Lock, making it crystal clear he wasn't about to forget what went down. Fast forward to 2020, and the beef reignited in a versus battle between Gucci and Jeezy. The two went head-to-head, trading their biggest hits, but Gucci took it to another level by performing Truth, the diss track that directly calls out the Pookie Lock incident. And when the track ended, Gucci doubled down again, telling Jeezy he was still smoking on Pookie Lock, a cold reminder of their violent past. Jeezy tried to play it cool, saying it had been 15 years and time to move on.
I know he got strength with Puerto Ricans, his people. But as far as Tupac being in prison, Joe, to keep the Puerto Ricans off his back because they think that he got beef with Joe in the street or some. I don't know about that.
But Gucci wasn't budging. He told Jeezy flat out that if he couldn't perform Truth, there was no point in the versus battle at all. The tension was heavy, and Jeezy looked visibly uncomfortable, clearly not expecting Gucci to come that hard. Now, switching gears, let's talk about Trav, a former G-Unit member who got checked by 50 Cent. And if you know 50, you know he never backs down from conflict. One of the wildest moments went down on stage when he crossed paths with Meek Mill. While performing, 50 suddenly turned to Trav, said something sharp, then shoved him away. The tension was thick, and it was clear 50 wasn't playing around. Meek Mill and others on stage quickly jumped in to cool things down, with Meek even stepping up to say he and Trav were like family. Luckily, Meek managed to defuse it before things got ugly. But the moment was a sharp reminder that 50 is never the type to let disrespect slide. 50 Cent isn't someone to mess with, and he proves it time and time again. Another wild moment went down when he was out having dinner with Nicki Nicole, just minding his business, when an up-and-coming rapper ran up on him furious that 50 wouldn't listen to his music. Things got tense quick as the guy squared up, asking if 50 was gonna hit him. He kept pressing, shoving his Instagram in 50's face, and when 50 didn't care, he accused him of being unfair. The whole thing was caught on camera by the rapper's friend, clearly trying to make it go viral. But 50 shut him down fast, letting him know that kind of desperate energy wasn't the way to get noticed. Luckily, no punches flew, but the clip still blew up online. The rapper later tried to milk the whole scene, hopping on Instagram to post a video challenging 50 to a fight, clearly hoping to spin the drama into promo for his music. But let's switch gears, because then there's Offset, who found himself in a backstage run-in with none other than Jay-Z. Now, most people today see Jay as the billionaire businessman and hip-hop mogul, but don't get it twisted. He still carries that edge from back in the day. In 2018, a video surfaced showing Jay straight up pressing Offset backstage. There was no audio, but the clip showed Jay checking Offset while Beyonce stood in the background watching. Rumors spread that the tension came from a track Offset wanted to make for Cardi B called Cheese, My Beyonce. Neither Jay nor Offset ever addressed it, leaving fans to speculate. Still, it was clear Offset respected Jay. Even after getting pressed, he didn't seem to hold a grudge. The video and rumors only reinforced what everyone already knew. Jay-Z still carries heavy weight in the game. Jay-Z is still someone you just don't mess with, no matter how many years he's been running this game. Make sure you hit that subscribe button to the Gossip Channel, drop a like below, and let me know your thoughts in the comments.